Hi, and welcome to another Flutter tutorial. Today we're going to look into application pagination. So consider the following application. As you can see at the bottom of the screen here, there's a page number. So the application basically load a number of books, and using pagination, it basically load based on the number of page uh, per item per page. So here we can see there are 5 items per page. So every time we access to another page, we can see that another data being loaded. So it goes the same with page number 3 and the last page. So since there's only 18 data available in the database, so the last page will only consist of 3 items. So this is basically a simple pagination where we have page number at the bottom, where users are allowed to access or jump pages. Let's say to jump to page number 3. So let's see how the implementation of pagination in Flutter. So the implementation for this book list is basically available in the main page dot dot. So here, when we access the page, it basically load all the book item through the init state method. So there's a method here called load books, which will request HTTP get array to the loadbooks.php. So this is a get array which require a get parameter passed through the URL. So the parameter here required a few. There are two parameter required here. One is the title. This is for search operation. And the other one is page number, which is the current page. So the page number is at the bottom down here. So if user select on 3, so the current page here is 3. So let's see the implementation on the back end side first before we back to the front end. So the back end here require a few updates to the loadbooks.php. So as we can see here, the loadbook.php require a few parameter. There are two parameter required here. One is the title and the other one is the page number. So let's see step-by-step implementation of pagination. So pagination here require result per page, which determine the number of item per page. So if we set the result per page to 10, the item here will be 10. Here we set the result per page to 5. So that's why you can see there's 5 items in each page. And then step number 2 is to get the current page number. If there's no page number given, we will always set the page number to 1. But if there's a page number given as such, let's say page number 3, the page number will be retrieved and set as an integer value. And the page number variable here will be 3. But if there's no page number given, the page number will always set to 1. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 here will require for us the to determine the index of the page result. So if the page number is 1, 1 minus 1 equals 0, 0 times result per page, which is 5, 0 times 5 equals 0. So the first index that going to be retrieved is index 0 from the database. However, if the page number is 3, 3 minus 1, we have 2. 2 times result per page, 2 times 5 is 10, means that the index page first result is 10. So this is very important when we going to use limit keyword before, after this, when we want to retrieve or we want to make our query. And then step number 4, this is basically just to get the total number of row available based on the query request. So this is basically just a very straightforward implementation of query where we will retrieve number of row. So this is just to determine how many data basically retrieve from the SQL. So for example, if we load everything, the number of result row we will return is 18. So the number of result then used to determine number of page. So number of page that we receive here, we use the number of result. So let's say 18 divided by result per page that we want is 5. So 18 divided by 5, we get, if we use a simple, we use a calculator here. So 18 divided by 4, we have 4.5. However, 4.5, when we use ceiling function, it will always take the ceiling integer value, which is 5. Sorry, we have a result per page is 5. Result per page is 5. Number of result is 18. Divide by 5, we have 3.6. All right, so my mistake. So 3.6, the ceiling value of 3.6 is 4. So the function ceiling here will always get the largest integer value from any decimal value given. So if the value given 3.2, the ceiling will always be 4. So that will be how that's basically how we retrieve number of page. So when we retrieve number of page, then we need to rebuild our SQL with the limit keyword. So the limit keyword here will use the index value where we want the SQL to start from. So the page first result will comes from here and determine through the page number and result per page, how many data that we want to retrieve for the query. So if the query only retrieve 5 data, so the first page result is 0, it will start from 0 until 4, which will return 5 data. So then the rest of the SQL execute as usual, and then we fetch the data and then build the array response back. And finally, when we want to return back the data, so we need to pass also number of page and number of result value. So this is going to be used later on in the application because we wanted to know the number of result and also the number of page so that we can build our array. So this is basically later we're going to use this information so that we can lay down the page number down here and also the total number of result returned up here. All right, so let's see the return data. I've just written through the log here. So when we try to retrieve back the data, as we can see, the log basically return the following. So it return all the JSON data and the number of page with number of result. So there are 4 pages with 18 data. So once we get the data, once we get the information, now we can continue to build our page number, page numbering down here. So the page number basically require the following information: number of page and number of result, which we can easily retrieve from our JSON data. So the number of page, number of result can be retrieved from number of page and number of result from the data. And then we can just define both in our class. Okay, so we have number of page, number of result, and here there's another variable current page. So initially we set current page one, number of page one, current page one, and number of result to set 0. So when we try to load books later, it should be able to update the value when we receive the data. The widget tree at the bottom here, this is basically handled through this size box tree. So the size box tree use what we call as a list view builder to dynamically build the text button at the bottom down here. So the list view builder use the item count, which is the number of page, which is 4 in this case, and then build using the builder of the item count, and will automatically build text button because we written the text button here. So it will build 4 text button, and each of the text button implement on press, and then reload the load books title and update the current page index value. So the selected index, let's say selected index 3. So when we select index 3, what we actually means that we want to add index 4, index 2 plus 1, because index here start from 0. So even though we press 3 here, this means that index 2, index 0, 1, 2, 3. So we need to add 1, and then the current page will be updated. And when we load books, the current page actually 3. Okay, so that the backend will be able to process the current page or the internet page that we want to load. And then the index here, this is just for the color for the selected text button. So it basically determined through the style down here, and it is a dynamic, which means that if I selected 2, the 2 will be highlighted. If selected 4, the 4 will be selected red, because of the dynamic color selector. So whenever I click on the button here, it basically select reload the books, and then it will pass the current page. And whenever we change the value for the current page, it will also update the grid view up here. All right. And then up here, this is just basically we have this small container here, and the small container basically just to show the current page and number of result 3 over 18, page 2 over 18, page 4 over 18. So that's just some information, useful information for user to use. So that's basically how pagination works. And pagination works well in large data set. Okay, in small data set as such, it doesn't play much because we don't have much. So let's say let me change to 10. Okay, so now the data inside here grid with 10 items with 2 pages. Okay, so 10 items with 2 pages. So that's basically how we implement simple pagination for the BookBytes application. Okay, so you can use this in your application and allow for your application uh, to to implement pagination where possible. And if you want to set the result per page as a dynamic value, you can also too. You might be able to do that through here. So allow user to control how many item they want to appear in the grid. All right. So I think that's all I want to share today. And I hope it can be very useful for you.